I'm to blame for this divorce, and will regret my mistakes the rest of my life. Trying to make Sybil for kids' sake. My emotions are all screwed up right now. I'm entirely to blame for the situation I've created for myself. Approximately 9 years ago, I was on a deployment and met a person with whom I became friends. It was just friendship. We stayed friends throughout the years, but my emotions grew entangled in it, and it became more of an emotional affair for me. My spouse worked a lot to support us and our children. He's a great provider, but it kept him away from home a lot. Probably more than I would have wanted. Deep down, I held the secret that my heart wasn't entirely my husband's, that there was this person who had been a part of it for so long. About 3 years ago, my husband questioned me about the connection, and it was clear that the emotional affair was one-sided. The other person seldom responded, and I was the one starting the talks, most likely out of boredom and loneliness. Before my spouse found out about my emotions, I broke off all communication for 2 years. I tried to make our marriage work, but I couldn't get rid of my emotions for the other person. The other person has never lived in the same state as us. He's been moved across the country by the military, but he's never been in the same condition. After not hearing from him in over 2 years, I received a message from him last year. He was going through a difficult period, and I made a mistake by chatting to him via the internet and comforting him over the end of his relationship. I made another blunder by sending this person a birthday card with no return address. I just wanted to make sure he knew he was remembered since he was going through so much. It was probably the worst thing I could have done since he wrote me a message on Facebook, which my husband read and freaked out over. After months of deliberation, the spouse filed for divorce last week. I will be eternally remorseful for ruining a great marriage. We had our disagreements, but my spouse is not a horrible guy by any means. He is, in fact, the most understanding and caring guy I have ever met. I'm an emotional mess who can't manage to hold my cool. Our kids aren't sure what's going on yet, and I'm hoping we don't have to tell them since we're trying to keep things normal for them. I'm retaining this home for the time being, and the kids will live with me full-time, with him picking them up from school in the afternoons and every other weekend. He works evenings, so he can't commit to full-time job. I want him to be able to see them whenever he wants. The good news is that we have a rental property next door. So when our renter's contract expires in March, he will move over there. But in the meanwhile, he will continue to live under the same roof even after the official divorce. To make things worse, I'm now enrolled in nursing school, and I'm in class 5 days a week. It's a difficult and fast-paced curriculum, and I nearly feel like leaving to find a job since I'm not sure how I'll manage. Husband assures me that everything will be great. He is ensuring that we are both financially secure and will not fail. We have relatively little debt and have previously decided that what we do have would be paid off during tax season. I haven't worked in 7 years, therefore I'll need to acquire a job as soon as I finish school so that I can carry my own insurance. I received a letter from his attorney today indicating that once the divorce is official, my health benefits would be terminated and I will have to either enroll in COBRA or get my own. I worried since I don't have a job yet, and he continues assuring me that I don't need one. He and I are still excellent friends. Spouse and I, we really sat around a campfire and spoke like old friends. He continues telling me that we are just two opposites for each other, that he wants for both of us to be happy. I am highly needy when it comes to physical contact and love, and he is not. Over the last several years, I've had the impression that we're little more than roommates. Sleeping in separate rooms, he says it's only cause of his work hours. I recognize I'm entirely to fault. If my heart had been 100% his all these years, and I had just been content with the time we do spend together, we would be okay. I'm a miserable mess trying to stay positive, especially since he's all calm and not making a big deal out of it. But I am completely responsible for all that has happened. Our children need to have both of us in their lives all of the time, and I damaged our marriage. I damaged myself and my marriage. All I have to look forward to now is a divorce, which is likely to happen within the next 90 days, and the stress of completing nursing school and moving on with my life. I'm sure I'll be chastised for being the wrong one in this, but I'm a mess, and I accept responsibility for the emotional affair. How can I get through this without losing myself? Story 2. Found out about my wife's affair with her coworker. So, my wife and I recently celebrated our 6th wedding anniversary, which was this past weekend. We've been together for 10 years. In addition, we have 2 children. In our relationship, we haven't always had the best of luck with things. Some of it is my fault, part of it is hers, and some of it is a combination of both of us faults. When we are close and things are going well, we are a powerful couple, but we can also be vulnerable at times as well. Anyway, throughout the course of the previous 2 months, I've seen minor changes in her demeanor, routine, and overall activities. As an example, it became necessary for her to arrive late for business meetings on a daily basis. Because of traffic, she's been showing up late to her house more and more. This just doesn't add up, does it? I'm looking forward to doing things without her. Excessive usage of the bathroom in a short period of time is defined as follows. Long walks with the dog in the freezing weather were something she'd never done before since she despises being outside in the cold. She used to never go out with her coworkers, but now she does so once a week on average. Arriving late and forgetting to answer her phone are 2 of her failings. So to put it bluntly, I had a feeling something wasn't quite right. I inquired as to if she had anything she needed to share with me, and whether there was anybody else who needed to know. No. She even made a pact with herself that she would never do it again. This past Friday, I was really upset and skeptical about everything. At 8:10 p.m., she called me to say she couldn't hear me but wanted to make sure I was okay. She then hung up. She had gone out with coworkers and her last call came at 8:10 p.m. when she said she couldn't hear me but wanted to make sure I was okay. Later that night, I attempted to contact her via phone and text but got no response. She apologized for falling asleep at a friend's house and contacted me at 3 a.m. to apologize. That didn't sit good with me whatsoever. Something didn't sit quite right with me. Regardless, fast forward to last night, when I get into my phone account and discover all of these calls and texts from a number in Rochester, New York. I immediately delete them. I remember her telling me that one of her employees was from Rochester, New York, which I thought was interesting. And she was calling him every time she went out to walk the dog after getting off the phone with me on her way home. And she didn't come back home until 3 a.m. the next morning, after leaving at 9:45 p.m. the night before. As a result, I shock her awake and confront her. When she told me she was lying, she had a bewildered and surprised look on her face. Even after I informed her that I was aware of what had been taking place and with whom it was taking place. There was someone but there isn't any more, she says, and I call BS on that statement once again, and she gets off the. When I eventually tell her who it is, her mouth drops open in surprise. She started apologizing incessantly, and I was unable to bear it any longer. I've suffered a great deal as a result of her actions, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do about it. He claims to have been a friend and an easy person to communicate with, but based on the amount of calls and texts she received, the time of day, the days of the week, and the lengths of time they spoke, I have a strong suspicion that it was much more than that and that they slept together. Please let me know what you think in the comment section.